Wow.
Speaking of indictments, we were just talking about that too. That Representative,
Right.
Congresswoman Representative LaMonica McIver has been indicted by a federal grand jury on 3 counts for obstructing federal law enforcement at Newark, New Jersey ICE facility, and now faces 17 years in prison.
I think that's hysterical.
I think
I do. I love it.
I think
The arrogance got in her way.
yes, I think it's time to wake up a little bit and know that the times are a changing.
Welcome to Podpinions, where the world's on fire and we show up like it's a backyard barbecue. Politicians roasted, woke trends torched, common sense, we've got you covered.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Podpinions is on the air,
I'm Rich,
and I'm Bruce.
and we got a ton of stuff going on this
boy.
week, boy.
Oh man, is there a ton of stuff?
All right, so the first thing that's been all over the news, and it's going to probably continue all summer, are these riots in L.A.
Right.
But here's where it gets weird. I made a comment on Facebook the other night on a friend's page, and I know this guy very well. And he was saying how these are just kind of, peaceful protests.
Peaceful.
Peaceful.
Did he use the word organic or not?
No.
No. Okay.
No organic, but just
Okay.
peaceful protests. And against, King Trump and blah, 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 and the dictator, the evil orange man. I mean,
Right,
the
right.
drill, right? Or
Yeah.
the whole thing. So I said, and there were like a whole bunch of comments already, but I commented and I said, well, they're burning cars and throwing rocks at the police. That's all I said. I got attacked like you would not believe. Viciously attacked by all these people. Well, it was only one car that burned, and it was only a few rocks being thrown at the police. So then I said, or I wrote, actually, I didn't say anything, but I wrote, well, I guess your definition of violent and my definition of violent are completely different. Forget it. I mean, it was like the gates of hell open.
Right.
It was unbelievable.
I saw a clip of I believe it was MSNBC reporter, or it wasn't a reporter. They were in the studio talking, I believe, and the one comment was, "Well, it's just a bunch of kids having fun watching cars burn."
Okay, I don't
So-
remember being a kid ever watching, having fun watching cars burn, but
I think there's other things to do than to have fun.
yeah, right. I can think of a million different things. Well, not a million, but
Right.
a whole bunch of
Yeah.
stuff.
No, check your insurance policy on your car policy, but I believe, there's a clause for acts of war or
Correct.
different things that go on. So, I mean, these people
Insurrections and
uprisings. So I
riots.
if people are thinking that the insurance company is going to cover them, I don't believe they're going
Nope.
to. So
If anybody out there in the insurance business,
Yes.
comment below.
comment below. Yes,
Let
absolutely.
us know. So I had to find out like what was going on because I felt like I missed something on how this all started. So Tom Homan, who's the border czar and who's doing all this with ICE, he came out and said publicly, and I saw this interview, and he's really angry, but they started Friday. So he got, or a federal judge actually issued a bunch of warrants because there was a place in Los Angeles, or several places in LA, where they were harboring or hired all these illegal aliens, and ICE was actually investigating this one company, and I guess it was in the garment district in LA.
Okay.
So they underdeclared over $80 million in goods and failed to pay $17 million in fees. So that's what they were investigating. And then they found out that there were like all these illegal aliens working there. So they got warrants and they found out who some of these people were, and they were like criminals, absolute criminals, and they were where was it? They arrested a total of 118 illegal aliens at this place, right, or at several different places. And
guess strawberry season wasn't in deceitful season.
So this company was like laundering money. They were doing all kinds of bad stuff. They found some of the people that they arrested were murderers, some were rapists, some were narcotic smugglers. So that's what this was all about. Right. And these people are saying it's because ICE is going in and like, just blanket deporting people.
Right.
And it's just like such bullshit.
Yep.
Pardon my mouth, but I'm sick of it. Yeah. I'm just sick of it.
Well, a lot of people are sick of it. It's gotten to the point where it's just people have had enough. We're tired of the excuses. We're tired. We tried it, right?
It didn't work.
Decades now. We've been sympathetic. We've listened. We've put our hearts out there. Okay, we'll let this one slide. Let this one slide, and then it's just between Doge showing where all these funds are going, all the Medicaid and the health care benefits and the free apartments and the cell phones, and enough is enough.
Absolutely.
That's where I believe everybody's at. I'm seeing tons of stuff online that's just making people just making comments. It's like, what are you guys thinking out there? It's ridiculous.
So because of all this, there's a group, and I printed this out from the interwebs, from their website.
Thank you, Al Gore.
No Kings.
Thank you,
Al Gore. So I did a little research here. It's a thing called No Kings. So go to nokings.org, and you can read all about this organization. And I did a Who Is with ICANN, which is the international domain registration. So everything about this place is like secret. You can't figure out who owns it. Mm-hmm. But what they're doing is they're mobilizing June 14th, which is Flag Day, Trump's birthday, and the 250th anniversary of the United States Army. So what they're doing is they're organizing these rallies, protests nationwide. And this is the host toolkit if you're hosting a riot or protest, and it tells you what to do. So it says resources for your host, which would be like, I guess, somebody who's hosting this event. They're having one here in Stroudsburg. Mobilization tactics, messaging, posters, and graphics. So you can have your posters pre-printed. How to get security, get support, planning your event, getting media attention. So it says, what is this thing? And it's a mass mobilization in response to the increasing authoritarian excesses and corruption of the Trump administration. God forbid he actually enforces the Constitution and laws.
And the laws.
So it's like all this stuff, like why we're mobilizing, right? He's using our tax dollars to pay for his party. Well, no, he's not. It's not his party. Yes, it happens to be his birthday, right. But this
celebration of the parade is supposed to be for.
But it started in Biden's administration, right. The planning for this thing to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Army.
Army, right.
So it has nothing to do with Trump's birthday at all. I'm really pissed about this.
Well, they're just making an excuse. That's what they're doing. They're just deflecting this to make an excuse to try and burn the country down. So that's what they're doing.
So, I mean, it's got all this hosting your own No Kings mobilization, how to do all this, right? But there's no anything about who these people are, right, or who owns this organization. Nothing. Even on their website, nothing. Zero. And you found out.
Yeah. So
Bruce did some research here.
Also, Christina Walton is part of this organization or affiliated somehow with this organization, and she is the one of the heiresses of the Walmart conglomerate.
Right. So what we figured out yapping today,
right,
was that she's involved. Why? Because Walmart sells Chinese crap.
Right. That's our Podpinion, and they don't want to pay the tariffs.
Right.
So what they would rather do, instead of having stuff built here or made here or manufactured here. They'd rather burn the place down so they can get cheaper stuff in from China. That's my Podpinion.
And I agree with you, but
Yep.
it makes why else would she get involved with something like this?
Right. Yeah, it makes no sense other than money. And again, it just goes back to the money. Who's making the money? Who is profiting off of all this stuff? I saw a video on X, a truck backed up and they were unloading these masks, like full face masks. And some people did some checking where they could get these masks, and lo and behold, guess who sells them and can sell them in kind of bulk?
Walmart?
Yeah. Bing, 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 bing.
You just want a new car.
It's burning, but you want a new car.
Yeah, so I'm just blown away, and I've talked to other friends on the phone all over the country about what's going on in Los Angeles. And the friends that I've been talking to, most are conservative. Some lean a little to the left, but for the most part, they're generally conservative. And they're scratching their heads too, like what is going on?
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, the lefties are saying how this is peaceful, but yet Los Angeles is on fire. I mean, it's Rodney King. What's the other guy from Minnesota?
Yeah.
The other guy that died.
Right.
With the couple of years ago, was 5 years ago that happened. So it's just
an excuse. It's an excuse for them to try.
But they don't do this in February.
No. But, well, yeah, it's cold. That's more expense, and to gear everybody up for the cold. Yeah. And that and then what they're doing is playing on people's heartstrings.
No, they're going back to the.
No, but I'm saying
trumping up the fear. No pun intended.
Right. But I'm saying they're playing on people's heartstrings and the fear, and they're sending out just citizens to go raise up against.
This is just nuts,
right?
Because you showed me a video earlier of some woman, wearing a mask. This is the most bizarre thing. She's in Los Angeles, right? She's protesting. She's throwing rocks at the police. There's video of her doing this. A reporter sticks a microphone in her face and asks her why she's there.
And wearing a mask.
And wearing a mask. So she goes through this whole big thing about how she doesn't want to be, noticed or recognized. Right. And then he said, "What's your name?" And she gives him her name and then spells it. It's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's the level.
The level of stupidity and ignorance is beyond.
I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. Where their thought process comes from. Again, it's like they're programmed.
There is no thought process, Bruce.
Right.
None.
They're programmed. They're programmed. They're just told what to do. This gives you instructions.
This is nuts. You really have to go check out their website.
And
NoKings.org.
From what I understand, Department of Justice, I believe, Trump has ordered the DOJ to look into who is backing these
because you can't find any information on them
because that's the ones that are creating this. It's yes, the people are out there doing it, but somebody's funding it. There's who's
the artists? They're even looking for
Craigslist ads saying, we'll pay you this much money. We need, tough people and, to protest and riot and they're paying them to do that. So, and there was the Mexican president just made a speech about how they're not going to put up with it. And now they're being tied into paying for attorneys and getting some of these people off. So if you have Mexico now funding some of this stuff, Trump's already declared the cartels a,
Terrorist,
terrorist organization. I mean, if there's a connection there, I mean, it's kind of
the plot thickens.
over. You know what I mean?
But to make Trump out like he's some ogre, I mean, the poor guy doesn't sleep. He's doing all this great stuff for this country, and then they turn around and they call him like a dictator, a Hitler, or this or that.
Yeah.
And like with this,
Well, it just shows you the amount of intelligence that really nobody looks into it.
I mean,
It's
does
just-
anybody even realize that the 14th is Flag Day?
No, probably not.
It's Flag Day. The 14th is Flag Day.
We used to know it in school.
Right. But to say that he's planning this thing for his birthday celebration is nonsense.
Well, the biggest thing I hear is all the congressional Democrats saying, he wants to start implement martial law and all this stuff.
Yeah, but where are they getting this from?
They're making it up.
Yeah, but why are people believing
they're not
it?
making it up. That's their plan. That's what their plan was the last 4 years. Whoever's been doing the auto pen for the Biden administration, and that's coming out too. Apparently, there's 4 aides to the Biden administration that's now willing to go in front of the committee and open up about his
who was doing it and why?
the auto pen and his decline in
His
the
health.
mental decline. So there's people starting to chirp.
I think they actually one of the I don't know if it's that committee or a different committee actually subpoenaed his doctor that was handling him during his presidency. So I don't know what's going to happen there, if he's actually going to say anything or if he's going to just plead the fifth.
Right. Well, I think there's enough coming out now that and there's really like this is not fooling around. This isn't like 2 months in the county lockup.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is major against the country stuff, and people better start talking, or I believe they're not screwing around. They're not screwing around. They just sent the 700 Marines into L.A.
Along with the 2,000 National Guard troops.
Right.
Oh, that was another one. A federal judge actually, I guess Newsom was suing
that
the
just
Trump
came out,
administration,
right.
was suing Trump about the National Guard troops, and a federal judge blocked it.
Yeah, the emergency.
Right.
Yeah,
So now they're going to court on Thursday. There's a hearing Thursday in court.
right.
But in the meantime,
There's no stopping right now.
Right.
And
which is a good thing.
yeah,
I forgot about that. That was in my notes.
and it's amazing they never talk to, you never see on the mainstream media or the legacy media.
Legacy media, yes.
Right. The people that are being robbed and their stores being looted, and you don't see their families being portrayed on any of these
No, not at all.
newscasts or anything
It's
like
only
that.
the illegal aliens, illegal keyword,
Right.
burning and looting and doing all that stuff, and with their Mexican flags and Venezuelan flags and whatever other flags.
And that's been a big wake up. Also, I've seen a lot of stuff, especially on X, of people saying, "What are you thinking? If you love the flag you're holding so
Why'd
great,
you come here?
why are you here?"
Right. To me, that's right
Yeah,
here.
right.
Right in your face.
And I've heard, I believe it was Charlie Kirk. He had a comments about the Mexican government also mandating that if illegals are sent here, like they have to send so much money back to their family or whatever. So again,
Well, have you ever been to Walmart? Not that I go to Walmart a lot, but there's a Western Union thing there, right? The line of people, none of them speak English, and they're all getting wires to send money home.
right. Right.
So,
And
just
I
show
don't
up at
know how much.
Walmart.
I don't know how much the Mexican government gets of that transfer. I'm
I
sure
don't know.
they must get something.
well,
I would
Western
think
Union's making that
some
like
kind
bandit.
of some kind of taxes or something. And again, that's money. Is Western Union affiliated somehow? I don't know, but
Same thing.
Wouldn't
There's
surprise
There's
me.
a title and tag place in Mount Pocono. We're northeast Pennsylvania, for those of you who don't know. And there's a title and tag place. They also have a Western Union thing.
Mm-hmm.
They do money orders, wire transfers, all that. And first of the month or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
there's a long line out the door of people doing wire transfers back to wherever they
Mm-hmm.
came from.
well, we were discussing also, and back to the self-checkout lines. If you've gone into Walmart and there's 40 registers, but there's only 2 open, everybody's being filtered down through the self-checkout lines. And those of us that would refuse to use a self-checkout line stand in a 20-person long line. So all you got to do is stop and just think, why are they doing this? They're saving on labor. They're letting the machines do it. The registers, the self-checkout, you're checking yourself out. You're not getting any discount for doing it yourself. You're taking somebody's job
But wait,
for doing it yourself.
Whoa. Time out. I just was at a supermarket self-checkout,
Mm-hmm.
and there were 6 employees standing in the self-checkout
Right.
area.
Right. Well,
Supervising,
I'm
and there
talking
was
about
one guy with a register.
I'm talking about Walmart.
Okay.
Yeah. So not only are you taking somebody's job, you're not getting a discount for checking out stuff. But then you find out that Christina Walton's part of these organizations or has some kind of affiliation with this No Kings organization. So they're actually making more money by not hiring people, by you doing it yourself, to be able to spend the billions of dollars they make in profits every year to fund stuff like this. And people don't realize that.
It's just real wrong.
Yes, absolutely. It's ridiculous. Like I said, I remember, and I was young. It was around the same time the Teflon stuff came out. I believe that was 60 Minutes as well.
You have to watch last week's episode about the Teflon.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Walmart was taking out life insurance policies every hire that they made. So in other words, when you did all the paperwork, you did your application, you did your, emergency contacts, you did this, and you signed a life insurance policy. I believe it was like $10,000 maybe. I don't remember what it was. And Walmart was the beneficiary. Now, they did get in trouble for that, and I believe they stopped it not long after that. But they kept that policy going whether you worked there or not. And they
Really?
paid the premiums, and then they collected it upon your death.
Nice.
So that's the company.
That's funding this nonsense.
Right. So they're kind of doing the same thing that the illegal immigrants are being used to do, is come into a city and basically take over. I mean, any Walmart that's gone into your area, what stores did they bankrupt?
Well,
How many?
here,
No,
right
I
here,
know.
We
Yeah,
were talking about that earlier.
but I'm talking about all the Walmart. They didn't pick a spot because they're out of the way, so that you could have
choice, right?
a choice.
Well, the one here opened up right across the street from Kmart,
Right.
and put them out of business,
Right.
along with all the little mom and
And
pops.
then you remember the way the traffic was when you were coming out of there. You couldn't go into you had to go up and around if you
Correct.
wanted to go over to
Kmart.
Kmart. So it's been a long progress. It's slow. It's steady. It's kind of under the radar. You get cheap crap, and you're funding your own demise of the country.
Right. It's pretty sad.
Yeah.
I just can't believe it. So then Hillary Clinton, this is really funny. I thought it was funny. You may not think it's funny, but where was it? She did this thing. I don't know what I did with the note, but she put up a post on X saying how there were peaceful protests in California, and that it's being blown out of proportion. I'm paraphrasing. I don't have the thing in front of me, but the backlash that this woman got was like unbelievable. She actually had to turn off the comments. That's how bad it got. So, but my question is, why is it only the Democrats turn off the comments thing?
Yeah, well, so first that shows you how much people have changed their mind on illegal immigration. If she has to turn off her comments, I mean, I don't know whether 4 years ago or 6 years ago that would have happened. I don't know if she would have got as many comments. Now,
these people were vicious.
Well, but even so, it's the amount of comments that she was getting, I don't believe would have been the same a few years ago. That just shows you how many people in this country had just had enough.
Well, even on CNN, I don't know if it was today or I saw it. I think you showed it to me, didn't you? About the
about
the percentages of how many people.
Well, that was polls of legal immigrants.
Right. They
and
were
their
asking
opinions.
their opinion about the illegal.
And it was like a 40% shift.
Correct.
Compared to
5 years ago, 4 years ago.
Right. So, and we kind of touched on it before. Anybody that's gone through the process themselves or family has taken the time to do the process legally and stood there and took the oath to become an American citizen. I haven't found one yet that I know of that is okay with the illegal immigrants just flooding the place.
They're actually quite angry about it.
Right. And that just shows you again the amount of people. This isn't 92 with the Rodney King riots and all that. You have a lot more people coming up. I mean, just us talking, podcasts and
podcast galore.
And the social media accounts. X has been, even though it's not completely open, at least you can see what's going on by actual people that are posting things and not choreographed by the legacy media. So it's like there's a lot more truth out there that's flooding in from all over the place, and it's changing people's minds. Yeah,
but then you still have those people that just here you turn on the TV, pretty much any channel, and you're seeing all this stuff going on in L.A. How could you not say that it wasn't violent?
Right. I don't know.
I don't get at all.
They're in a corner. They're backed in a corner, and they're sticking to the script, and it's not working anymore.
But it's like I sit there and it's like, oh my God, poof! It's mind numbing.
I don't know the mindset. I don't know where do they think it's just going to magically change, because it's progressing more and more against the narrative that these people are telling the truth. And even though my opinion has been for years, my Podpinion. Sorry. It's been like that for years in my Podpinion. I think people are that have kind of glazed over the news or really wasn't paying attention. You know what I mean? They just hear clips here and there. And that, I mean, I can understand that.
I'm a news junkie, so are you.
Right. But I wasn't always like that. When I was younger, I was, working and
Okay.
you hear little things, this and that. Okay, all right, well, it's not so bad. So I do understand that people can not pay attention. But now, when you see everything going on and all the money going out of your paychecks and all the nonsense that Doge has brought up, and it's just trillions of dollars that have been, in my Podpinion, stolen from the American people and just given out to whoever.
I sit here and I think back, like, when I was a kid, and I trusted government. I trusted people in positions of power.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the way we're brought up. And then looking back now, I see things and I'm like, you idiot, how could you fall for this?
No, right.
And even going back in history, like what Roosevelt did, not Teddy, his cousin,
Mm-hmm.
What he did to this country with the New Deal,
Mm-hmm.
that was the beginning of the end.
Mm-hmm.
Right. with all these
the central
government
banks
programs.
and the reorganization of Europe and the different.
Well, no, I'm just talking about here with
I know,
Social
but
Security and
all that was intertwined together. You had the big what's his name?
well, there's Stalin and
No, he had all the oil companies and they brought Rockefeller. I mean, he vowed to destroy the United States,
right.
Because they broke up his oil companies. And again, it's just a slow progression. And, grass-fed beef, I don't know if you ever seen beef go out in the grass for the first time, and they've been in the barn, and then you let them out in the fresh grass, and they're hopping around, they're happy, they don't know the truck's coming in frickin' 3 days, and they're going. So that's kind of what happened to this country. They kind of, made it to be everything's fine, we got it handled, and more, just slow progression. And here we are. You got we talked about last week about no families getting together anymore for dinners and, even Sunday dinners. And
everybody's on a different timetable.
Right. Everybody's so busy. And, same with me. Everybody's so busy. You have to have two people.
About earlier, it's like you go home to just sleep.
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Because you're so busy.
And that's not a life, because all the money that I'm trying to earn for myself is being handed out to people walking across the frickin' border from all countries. It doesn't matter what country they're from. They're here illegally. And I'm paying for my cell phone, and they get a free one. I mean, how does that work? It's because I let it happen. Really, I let it happen.
That's the collective we let it happen.
Right. But I'm part of it.
Right.
And it's kind of like why we started doing this. It's like, we talk about it. Well, let's try and do something.
Absolutely.
And it's
so share this with your friends.
Right.
And, like us on the bottom and follow us.
Yeah.
And, hopefully this thing will grow. We'll have some guests. We're still working out the technical bugs.
Yep.
Which is interesting. We're
gonna have to put a camera in the background. You get some behind the scenes.
Yeah, we had a doozy. I dropped a several $1,000 TV camera. It is now back at the factory getting fixed. So I bought a used one from a friend, and who didn't need it anymore because he bought a new one, and that one we can't get the shutter speeds correct. So here we are.
Yeah.
But
coming to you live from Rich's cell phone.
That's right. But actually, pretty good.
No,
Pretty good
it's great.
quality
Yeah,
for a cell
yeah.
phone. It's
It
an
is.
iPhone, whatever the last one was.
Made in China.
That's right. Piece of crap that it is. I hate that phone. I do. I hate it. It'll lock up as you're doing stuff. And it shuts off. It'll just call random phone numbers for no reason at all. It's got a life of its own. It's
funny.
possessed. On that note, we're going to take a quick break,
Yep.
and we'll be right back.
See you soon. Welcome back, everybody. Podpinions is back.
We're going to continue on where we left off.
Yes.
And I just read this thing on the BBC News, and their website, not the TV thing. Quote, this really cracked me up. Dozens of people have been arrested in Los Angeles after days of violent protests, which erupted following immigration raids. This is the part that got me. After days of violent protests. They're not protests, they're riots.
Right.
There's a difference.
Correct.
There's a big difference.
Yes.
Why do they do that? It's the legacy media.
because they want it to continue as long as possible.
But it's not a protest, it's a riot.
Right. But
There's
a
a
riot,
difference.
well, it's like starvation versus food insecurity. It's just nicer.
Okay.
That's what it is. They're just trying to make it nice.
I think on our website, once it's up and running, we should have a whole list of like these bizarro terms.
Yes.
Like the food insecurity stuff.
Yeah,
It's a-
that's huge. That's my my trigger.
Remember what happened to the Trigger Girl? Remember her, the one that when Trump won the first time? She's like,
Yes,
and
yes.
she's in like every meme.
Yes.
What happened to her?
I don't know. We should see what she's doing now.
Yeah, I wondered. I really wondered. But yeah, that cracked me up. It's like violent.
So
protests.
even Europe is. I mean, they basically said other than the protest,
yeah, they're saying that it was like it's
violent.
Yeah, bad.
and our media is saying
Under the carpet.
kids are just
This is my-
having
this is
fun
my
watching
yeah.
cars burn.
This is my imaginary broom under the carpet.
Right. And it's not working anymore. It's not working. And then, on the break also, I noticed that I checked my X account, and Laura Loomer is on there. She's pretty on it. She's pretty on it. She contacted Walmart, and they actually do not condone what Christy Walton is doing. Apparently, she lives in Mexico. She doesn't even live here.
Stunner.
And we were just happened to be talking about the Mexican president
Right.
and stuff,
And there
and
you
the
go.
funding.
Is there a connection
Is there
here?
a connection? I don't know. It's gets to be pretty glaring, but who knows? But they don't condone this No Kings stuff and the ads that are being taken out in the newspapers and the online stuff. So that was pretty admirable for the rest of the family, because they're family owned. They're not
Correct.
on the stock exchange, or what do you call it?
NASDAQ.
No, they're not a corporation where
Oh.
they have the boards, and I mean
They have
they're
a
a
board.
corporation, but they're family owned. They're not spread out.
So that's interesting. I'm curious though.
Had a brain
You had a brain fart.
miscalculation there.
He's old. He had a senior moment.
Yes,
Not as old as me though.
yes, that's
You're right behind. But the thing is though, are they going to make a public?
Well, that would be
stand?
nice. I would imagine. Like I said, she's got quite the following, and she's pretty
No,
on
no,
it.
I'm talking about Walmart.
No,
Are
that's
they
what I
gonna
mean.
take out,
But if
like a full page ad in the
if
New York Times?
she's posting this stuff, It's going to get everywhere. So
Hopefully.
I hope that they do publicly announce that they don't condone this behavior, and so we'll see what happens. Time will tell.
Interesting. Saturday's going to be interesting. So
Yeah. Well, now I'm seeing Washington State, Texas,
we just
some
read
stuff in New York last night.
they were throwing smoke grenades and pepper spray and tear gas in Austin, Texas today.
Yep.
So this is going to be like the summer of 1968. I can see it.
Right. And but the difference is it's everybody's trying to say that wants this stuff to continue, that it's against American citizens. You're here illegally, you're not an American citizen.
Right.
So
Well, that's what we were talking about earlier.
Right.
They were talking about all these Americans being deported. No Americans have been deported.
Right.
Like Maryland man. He's
Yeah.
now back, and now he's been indicted.
Right.
Wow.
Speaking of indictments, we were just talking about that too. That Representative,
right.
Congresswoman Representative LaMonica McIver has been indicted by a federal grand jury on 3 counts for obstructing federal law enforcement at the Newark, New Jersey ICE facility, and now faces 17 years in prison.
I think that's hysterical.
I think
I do. I love it.
I think
The arrogance got in her way.
yes, I think it's time to wake up a little bit and know that the times are a changing.
That was the woman. She body slammed an ICE agent.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean,
The mayor went out in cuffs, right? It was a mayor, I
Yeah.
believe. And then she got all violent. And, well, it is what it is. So we'll
Oops.
see what happens.
I hope she goes to jail.
Not
Not a slap on the wrist.
If you or I did that, we would be in jail.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
There'd be no
questions asked.
Right. So since she's our employee, see you in 17 years.
Just like the locust.
Right.
Cicadas. Cicadas, not locusts, cicadas. We're at 17-year locust, too, right?
I
Isn't
believe
that
so,
what it is?
yeah. 14 or 17, I
Something
forget.
like that.
Yeah, something like that.
She's a bug.
Yeah. So
Saturday, though, Flag Day.
yeah.
Celebration of our flag. It's also Donald Trump's birthday, which has nothing to do with any of this. And what he said was that he's issuing a word of caution for anyone who attempts to protest the military parade that they're putting on commemorating the U.S. Army's 250th anniversary. Not his birthday. So he said, this is an actual quote, "If there's any protest, once they come out, they will be met with a very big force." So it should be interesting.
Yeah. I saw his, he went into Fort Bragg today and did a speech.
That was awesome.
And, yeah, I mean, just the amount of military soldiers that were present there.
That
and
love him.
all, yeah, just on their feet and chanting USA. And, he made the announcement that he's changing the names back on some of these other forts and,
Getting rid of the woke nonsense.
right. So things are changing.
Thank God.
Yeah.
And then big change, RFK Jr.
Oh, yes.
I thought this guy was asleep at the wheel there. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, boom, he just fired the entire 17 members of the vaccine board or the committee, right? So I was like speechless. But I'm excited about it because he's going to replace all of them
Right.
with people who are not connected to big pharma.
Right.
So the people that are on the board lost their minds. They completely lost it. They're really upset. They didn't see it coming. And they're saying, but. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. These are the same bozos that said that the COVID vaccine was okay.
Right. Yep. Or was going to prevent the illness,
Exactly.
right?
But meanwhile, they're in bed with Fauci and,
Right.
and Big Pharma and the CDC's all bent out of shape
Yep.
because these guys, they're all like this.
Yes. And that's the thing, is it's just going to take one brick at a time. You take it out, and pretty
But
soon
here, I
it's
thought
all
he was
going to come
doing
down.
nothing. That it
No,
just,
right, yeah,
and then
yeah,
boom.
right. Yeah, no, that's pretty amazing. I think, there's more and more medical research coming out with the myocarditis and different things going on. That
Well, I know a whole
everything
bunch of
was
people.
conspiracy theories.
But I know a whole bunch of people that have heart issues because
Yeah.
of that vaccine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, people were banned. They were shunned. People were calling for anybody that got or was unvaccinated to be basically flogged, and
Like us.
yeah. So I mean, it is what it is. The truth is going to come out. It may take a while, but the truth always comes out. So
Well, what he's trying to do with this is he said that he wanted a clean sweep so he could reestablish the public confidence in vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
He's not against vaccines.
Right.
He just thinks that, well, as most of us do.
But it's got to be a vaccine. I mean, they changed the definition
a vaccine.
of vaccine. I mean, why? What changed? Why did they do that? I mean, it's been like
Even
that
the guy
for...
that invented it, the
It's-
mRNA
right.
thing, said it was not a vaccine.
Right. It's a gene therapy. That's what he called it. So, again, I'm just going to let it play out because everything that I saw in the beginning is now coming out in the mainstream that this stuff is happening. So, I really hope that it's not as bad as it could be, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't wish that on anybody.
Oh, I don't either. I mean,
And
only
if-
time will
if,
tell.
If this has been just a huge cover-up and, hundreds of millions of people have taken this thing, so we'll see what happens.
I'm one of the proud ones that didn't. And I got lambasted for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it is what it is, but
Yep.
I hate to say I told you so.
Right.
But I told you so.
Yep.
On another news front,
Yep.
the ABC News guy, Terry Moran, got fired
I wonder why.
because he put up an X post lambasting Trump and Stephen what's-his-name and calling him all kinds of names. And the Disney-owned channel, ABC Network, came down on this guy big time. I think it's hysterical.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, why? Because they don't have the backing of the public anymore.
Right.
Nobody's buying into this anymore. At least, before they had a set of people that would constantly go to bat for him, and they're not getting that anymore.
Well, what he actually said was he called Stephen Miller and Trump world-class haters.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went downhill from there. And they took it off. I mean, or he took it down, but the damage was done.
Oh, it's
and he
like
was doing a job.
Comey with the 8647, in shells. Come on.
So what
Come
happened to
on.
that? Again, as we discussed,
You're walking, just walking down the boardwalk, and I see these shells, and it said
there it is.
8647. I took a picture and put it on Instagram. I didn't know what I was doing.
but
The head of the FBI
yeah, right. Okay.
doesn't know this.
Nonsense.
Oh,
Hockey
my
pucks.
goodness.
So, but that got swept under the rug. It's like
Right.
it's gone. It's like it didn't happen. And like we were talking about in a previous episode of Podpinions, this stuff, like these news cycles, they're like 2 days and then poof, gone.
Yeah, right.
So Comey's thing with these shells, poof, gone.
The thing is, in the media, it's poof gone, just like this congresswoman that body slammed the agent. It was poof gone,
But now it's back.
but it's not gone. They're not going to let this up. What's going on in the background is what matters, and what's going on in the background is going to be finding out who is actually funding all these riots and all this stuff. It's not going to be the surface people anymore. There's going to be people going to jail for assaulting officers and stuff like that. I mean, that's fair, but it used to stop there. It's not going to stop anymore.
Right.
I think it's just going to continue more and more, deeper and deeper.
Well, this whole thing for this Saturday with that organization, I ripped the thing up and threw it out, but the Kings, nokings.org.
Yeah. Yeah, look that up, nokings.org.
You got to read their website. It's nuts. I mean, it's really nuts. And what I don't understand about that is even the ICANN thing for looking up who owns the domain name, it will not tell you. Mm-hmm. They have everything private. And but there's got to be a way to find out who owns that.
Well, I'm sure there's a way. Yeah. And I mean, we may not be able to find it, but I'm sure the Department of Justice can find out.
Do IP lookups and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, not even IPs, but just if they're funding the destruction that these people are doing, and it's from he's already proclaimed he did the Insurrection Act, right?
Mm-hmm.
As our country being invaded. So anybody, any website out there, or any person publishing stuff in the newspapers or whatever, if they're funding it, they're funding against this Insurrection Act. So it's
going to get pretty wild.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, I saw a thing on the news, and I saw it. I just looked it up again, and just to make sure that it actually, I saw what I saw. And there were pallets of cinder blocks, just like dumped in the middle of the street with plastic wrap on it. Right.
That happened once before, I think, too. So,
going back to this friend of mine that lambasted me on Facebook earlier, he's saying that, just a few rocks. Well, what they're doing, and this reporter said the people are grabbing a cinder block, taking a hammer, where they're getting those from,
mm-hmm.
and breaking up the cinder blocks and loading up their pockets with pieces of cinder block to throw at the police.
Mm-hmm.
But who's delivering these things?
They just show up. There's a pallet of bricks there, a pallet of cinder blocks. I mean, how does that happen? A truckload of masks. Where are they coming from?
They should be able to figure that out.
The Riot Ferry?
Yeah.
The musical.
Riot Ferry, the musical. That's funny. That was funny. The Riot Ferry. That's a new one. That was good, Bruce. That was right up there. One for Bruce.
Once in a while.
The Riot Ferry. We should get T-shirts. The Riot Ferry, the musical.
Merch.
Merch. Big time merch. Wow. Yeah, but so that, I would think, if a pallet of bricks or cinder blocks shows up on a sidewalk, there's got to be a way to follow the truck back from wherever it came from.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some kind of... They can do soil tests at a murder. We've all watched the, Unsolved Mysteries or whatever they are. They can do soil samples and tell what part of the country the soil is from. I mean, brick is
a brick
made from part of the soil. Concrete is, the cinder blocks as well. So I'm sure they could do an analysis to see where they came from, kind of target where they were manufactured, find out the delivery log or the truck log,
mm-hmm.
So they could find out if they want to.
And I hope they do.
Yeah, it's just like ink,
right?
I don't know. I believe it's the FBI has ink from every manufactured ink process since I forget when, in the 20s or 30s or something like that, or even maybe it's even before that.
They can date the ink and where it came from, what manufacturer. And
right. It's the same with printers. Supposedly the printer has some kind of code on every sheet on there.
Uh-oh.
So
that's scary.
Yeah. Only if you're rioting. Only if the riot fairy is come and bonked you on the head with a brick. And you're trying to publish it, But no, but that's supposed to be a thing too, that it's mandated in every printer to be able to leave its mark so they can tell what printer and where it came from.
Interesting.
Yep.
I did not know that.
Yep.
Hitherto an unknown fact.
Yes. Well, it's the same with cell phones and your watch and your screen on your car. I mean, that all communicates with each other, and then it sends it back out and tells you where you were, the IP address and all this stuff.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of IP addresses. So, back in January, I supposedly bought a Super Bowl ticket through StubHub to the tune of $6,892. So I didn't do. I mean, the last football game I watched, Y.A. Tittle was still the quarterback for the New York Giants. Right? I do not like football. So not that I dislike it, but I just don't watch it.
Right.
Right. It does nothing for me. So I'd rather watch paint dry. So my son-in-law would hate me for saying that because he's a big, huge football fan and former football player. Anyhow, so back and forth with the bank, you know the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
So the police got involved. So the officer that was investigating this thing actually got the IP address from StubHub of who bought the ticket. It wasn't me. It was an AT&T phone in Atlanta, Georgia. StubHub even said that the billing address was incorrect, but yet the bank still let the thing go through, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's IP addresses. So, but I still haven't gotten the money back.
And
so now I got to go after
which, not everybody knows, but a debit transaction
is not protected.
Is not protected like a credit card. Now, why?
We don't know. So this is for your own safety here, right? A debit card you can use as a credit card. However, it's not protected the same way as a credit card. If it was a credit card charge, then it would have been completely wiped out, and it would have been done, right? But now I'm fighting to get almost $10,000 back because of other fees and all kinds of other crap. But so yeah, and they said, well, you're told this when we issue your debit card, and I said, where? Well, it's in that pile of papers that comes with the card. That's like you need a magnifying glass or a microscope to read. It's in there someplace. So just so you know,
if anybody asks you if you want to run your card credit or debit, always say credit.
Absolutely. Yeah. And even then it's questionable because it is a debit card.
Right.
But that's just you were talking about IP addresses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So and we've discussed it personally. I believe they should be able to find out the exact room that the person was in.
Oh, absolutely.
If they used
if they wanted to.
If they wanted to.
But see, now the way it is now is I got the money back, then they took it out again and gave it back to StubHub. So now StubHub's not going to give it back to the bank.
Mm.
And the bank doesn't want to give the money back to me because then they'll be out $6,800 and change. They're actually almost $10,000 after the altogether fees and whatnot. So they don't want to give the money back.
Right.
I get it.
But this is just one transaction. How many are there out there? How many are there out there?
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not the only one. I know 2 people within 20 miles of here that got hit for a lot more than I did.
Right.
Same bank,
right?
By the way.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And we should start seeing their affiliation.
Well,
with
I
nokings.org.
I changed banks. So, yeah, that's that. But
yep.
So, yeah, this Saturday should be
Yeah.
An interesting day.
But the electronics thing is there's no privacy.
Well, here's
I
a
mean,
question.
I just got a question from somebody that was coming in and about their driver's license, and there's no privacy anymore.
None.
Like, between IDs and what the government has, paperwork. Everybody's up in arms about, Elon has your personal information. Well, so does every frickin' doctor, every bill you paid, every credit card. Everybody has it. So you just have to kind of come to grips, unless you throw away everything and go live in the forest under a frickin' in a cave someplace. And even then, they probably have a satellite watching you. So.
Right. Well, here's my question about like the real ID thing. I'm hesitant. I'd rather just get my passport renewed. But so if you don't have real ID, you're not allowed in any federal buildings, correct?
As far as I understand,
right.
Yeah.
So technically, you can't go in a post office.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're not a federal, even though they're regulated by the federal government. They're a private corporation.
I understand that, but it's still federal.
Yeah,
you can't go in a courthouse.
I think they're gonna.
You can't go in a courthouse.
That's true. That's true.
So how can you get called for jury duty? I don't have real ID. I can't go in a federal building.
Well,
just stuff to think about.
If it was a federal case, but if it's a state case,
well, it's different.
Yeah.
But what if it's a federal
or
court?
A local?
What if it's federal court?
Well, then I would imagine you can't go.
But then what happens? You tell them, I don't have a real ID. I can't be on the jury.
That's true. I don't know.
There's your out.
Yeah.
Don't listen to me, though, please.
Yeah, right.
But this is stuff I've been thinking
about. We are not
about.
lawyers, and we don't play one on TV.
No. But this is stuff I've been thinking about with the real ID. Is there are all these federal buildings that you just normally would go in, and now you can't because you don't have a real ID. But is anybody really checking when you go to the Social Security office? Are they going to ask you for your real ID?
Right. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Guess we'll see.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, how many senior citizens now who don't have real ID have to go to the Social Security office for something, and they're not going to let them in?
Yeah. I don't know. They'll just blame it on Trump and Doge and Elon not getting their check.
Yeah, just something. I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, that's a good question. If anybody knows, leave it in the comments. Yeah.
That's comments.
Comments, yeah.
As opposed to. Thank you, Al Gore. That's on the interwebs.
Interwebs, yes.
Thank you, Al Gore.
Thank you.
So what do you say we wrap it up?
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll see what happens. 14th is coming around the corner here. So
fly your American flag because it's Flag Day.
Yeah. And don't get drawn into this stuff. Let them handle it. The last thing we need is people going out and
it'd be stupid.
Being tough guys and we're going to take care of this. Just step back. Let them handle it. There's a plan. I'm pretty sure there's some kind of plan, and this is part of the process. So just let them do their thing. Be a proud American, fly your flag, and
ignore the nonsense.
Pray for any of the ones that are putting their lives on the line to try and quell this stuff down, right. Because they deserve all our thoughts and prayers. So,
well, I'll see you next week.
All right, sounds good.
See you guys next week.
Take care.
Bye.
Slam the follow button. This is Podpinions.